Hey guys, so today I have a little bit of a different video for you guys. I haven't really done any reviews or swatch videos, so I wanted to do my first review video, and so today I'm going to be talking about the new JUVIA'S Place Masquerade palette. I have heard about this palette from so many different people. I first saw this on Nikki Tutorials Snapchat. I also saw this on Instagram a lot. This has just been a really popular palette online, and a lot of YouTubers have been loving this. I first saw the swatches of this on Nikki's Snapchat, and she was swatching the Nubian 1 palette, which is another palette by JUVIA'S Place. And then she was also talking about this Masquerade one, and so I went on their website, and this one just kind of spoke to me because it had so many like fun, bright colors that were also shimmer shades. And you guys know, those of you who have been following my channel, that I like bright colors and I love to do like really bold, intense looks. So I was really drawn to this palette because, as you can see here, like this whole like top two rows are all just fun, bright colors, and that's just, it's very me. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the palette, and then I'm gonna show you how to get this look that I did right here. So if you guys want to see how I got this look and my thoughts on the palette, then just keep watching. So, like, to start out, as I said before, I heard a lot of YouTubers talk about this, so, in my mind, I knew this was going to be a good palette. And one thing I really like about this palette is that it's really affordable because, eyeshadow palettes can be really expensive. So this was nice to see a more affordable one that also is really high in quality. So JUVIA'S Place is an online store. They don't sell this brand in any beauty supply stores like Ulta or Sephora or anything, so you have to buy this online. I got mine a couple weeks ago when it was on sale, so I got it for like under 20 bucks. I think I paid like $17 for it, which was a really good price. And you can also use affiliate codes on this from other YouTubers, so that will help you save money as well. And so when I got the package, right off the bat, it comes in a box like this, and on the box it has this design on it. This design I thought was really cool because I'm someone who is very much a sucker for packaging. I love when brands get creative with how they package their products, and I thought this was so cute. And especially because, well, for those of you who don't know me personally, like professionally, I am a visual artist and a graphic designer. So as an artist, it makes me happy to see packaging like this where you have like an illustrated image that's centered more around artwork and not so much just like design and patterns. Because a lot of palettes that you see have like really cool textures and patterns, but they're not so heavily like art focused, where there's like an illustrated image where you could tell that an artist designed this image of this woman right here. And so it makes me happy to see that. And I like this image because I feel like it embodies a lot of what these palettes are about, because all three of the current JUVIA'S Place palettes center around themes from Africa. So you can kind of see the tribal influence right here. Then you get, when you open up the palette, you have the same print on the palette. It's a cardboard packaging, and the same print is also right here on the inside, but instead of like 3 heads mirrored here, you just have 1 on the top. And unfortunately there's no mirror, but I mean, I don't really mind it because personally I like using like a large mirror in front of me. I don't really like using the mirrors inside palettes, so that doesn't really bother me. But if you are someone who is looking for a palette that you can take on the go, where you have a mirror in it and it's like small in size and everything, then unfortunately this palette doesn't have that. But another thing to know about this palette is it does come in 2 sizes. This one is actually the Masquerade Mini palette, which is smaller in size. The original palette of this is actually much bigger, where the pan sizes are huge. They're like almost double the size of the ones in this palette that I have right now. So if you're really a fan of the colors in this palette, then I would recommend going for the full-sized palette. But even the smaller one, the pan sizes are still a pretty good size, and you do get a lot of product in this. So I think even just getting this small mini one is good enough. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the actual shadows. So I'll insert a little clip of me swatching all the shades and telling you like the names and whether they are like a matte or a shimmer. So overall, I do really like these colors. I think the color selection, the range is really nice because you have your bright colors and then you also have your more neutral colors for those of you who like to play it more safe and you don't really like to go out of the box and go crazy with colors. So I think this palette has a little bit something for everybody. A couple things about this though. So here, like you have this color right here, which I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's so intense and so reflective, this bronze shade right here. And this is probably the most pigmented and the most shimmery shade in the entire palette. I kind of wish all the rest of the shimmer shades were equally as pigmented and as strong. I mean, they are very pigmented. They just aren't like this intense, almost like liquid looking metallic. They're a little bit more of a softer, subtle shimmer. But if you take the colors and you wet them a little bit, either with setting spray or you can even wet them with a little bit of water, then you will get the most color payoff. When I first swatched these, like the first 5 shades right here are all shimmers. This whole top row of shades here, when you swatch them on your fingers, they're a lot more intense, but then when you spread them out on your arm, they're a little bit more of a subtle shimmer. They're not as intense as this bronze. I kind of wish it was though, but it still does a pretty good job. And then when you go into the second row here, like you have this matte shade, and then you start seeing more mattes like down here and down here. The matte shades, I feel like when you swatch them on your arm, they are a little bit patchy, but when you apply them with a brush and you put them on the eyes, they're really good. I feel like when you apply them with a brush and you put them on your eyes, then you don't get that patchiness. It's intense and pigmented, pretty smooth and buttery for the most part. I think some of the matte shades are more buttery than the others. Like some of these like brown shades up here are a little bit more buttery. I felt like this like berry color right here was not as pigmented in the swatch, but I didn't mind it because I was applying it to the crease, and with this you don't want to go too heavy-handed in the crease. You always want to apply crease colors with a light hand, so it wasn't too bad, and I didn't have to like swirl my brush in the pan really hard. So as far as how the eyeshadows apply, I felt like they were really easy to work with. They blended out well and they were strong and pigmented. Like I said, they weren't patchy when I tried to blend it out with the brush. As far as using them on your lids, no issues there. So my final thoughts on this palette, for the most part, I think it's a really good palette. It's affordable and you have everything that you want in an eyeshadow palette. My only little thing against this palette is some of the shimmers aren't as intense as I would like it to be. And my other little thing with this palette is that the mattes don't swatch well, but when you apply it with a brush, it does a pretty good job. And so final thoughts, I would give this palette an A. So yeah, that was my review on the palette, my thoughts on it, how I thought it performed, and the demo as well. So now let's get into some swatches. So first we have the color Chi, which is a deep royal blue color. Then we have the color Molly, which is an emerald green. Then we have the color Dahlia, which is a true blue. And then Zola, which is a lighter blue. Then we have the color Makeda, which is a royal purple. Then Zobo, which is our first matte shade. Then the color Calabar. Then the color Bori, which is a matte with a micro sparkle to it. Then the color Giza. And then Burkina, another matte shade. Cairo, another matte with micro sparkle shade. Then the color Ada, which is a deeper matte shade. And then Dahia, which is a gold shade. The color Zulu, another matte. And then Casablanca, which is this metallic shade. And then finally Fulani, which is the final matte shade. So now getting into the eyes, I'm just priming my lids with my Tarte CC Eye Primer. and then I'm just blending it out with my finger, and then I'm going to be setting it with a little bit of translucent powder, because every time you're working with a cream eyeshadow base, you should always set it lightly with a powder just to make sure it doesn't slide around. And now I'm just adding a little bit of tape to the end of my eyelid just to make sure I get a very clean edge. And now I'm just taking this pink shade called Bori, and I'm working that into my crease. Then I'm taking the color Zobo on a Morphe M507 brush, which is just a more precise tapered brush, and I'm just layering that on top of where we applied Bori. And this is just going to darken up the crease a little bit. Then taking the color Makeda, I'm just adding this to the outer half of my crease, just to add a nice gradient effect, so it goes from pink to purple. Then taking this NYX white eyeshadow base, I'm going to use this to create my cut crease and really get this sharp contrast between the crease and the colors I'm going to be applying to my lid. And then after I'm done carving out the crease, I'm just filling in the rest of my lid. Now taking the color Zobo, which is this light blue, I'm putting this all over the center of my lid. Then taking the color Dahlia, which is a little bit of a darker blue, I'm applying this to the outer third and the inner third. Then taking this green shade called Molly, I'm just applying this in between the lighter and darker blue just to add a little bit of a gradient. Then to make sure everything transitions really well, I'm taking the color Chi, which is the darkest blue in the palette, and I'm just applying this to the very outer edges of both sides of my eye, and then I'm just lightly feathering it on top of the other colors just to make sure everything transitions really smoothly and blends nicely. Then I'm going to take off the tape, and you can see I have a really clean, sharp edge. Then taking this Colourpop cream gel liner in the shade Zulu, I'm applying this to my waterline. Now it's time to apply some liquid eyeliner. I'm just taking my NYC liner and doing a normal winged eyeliner. Then taking the color Giza, I applied a little bit of setting spray to it to get it wet, and I'm applying this to the inner corner of my eye, and by wetting it, it's just going to make the color go on more intense. And then taking this L'Oreal eyeliner pencil in the color, I think it's called Teal, I'm applying this as a base for the shadows that I'm going to be applying to my lower lash line. And then I'm going back to the color Chi, which is the darkest blue shade, and applying that to the inner and outer third of my lower lash line. And then on the centers, I'm leaving that blank because I'm going to be applying Molly, which is that green shade, to the very centers. And all the shadows that I applied, all the blues and the greens, I applied all of those wet. And now here you see I am smoking out the lower lash line by taking that pink color Bori and just running that underneath all the greens and the blues. And then I'm going to darken it up with the color Zobo. Then now I'm applying some false lashes, and you can see to apply them I'm just looking straight into the mirror and applying them from on top. And so I make sure to connect the center of the lashes to my lid as closely as possible, and then I'm connecting the front end and then the back end. And after that, I'm just taking the tweezers and pressing my natural lashes and the false lashes together to make sure they are as close as possible. And while doing this, just make sure you're very careful. Now taking this white eyeliner by Wet n Wild, I'm just adding a little dot on my lower lash line. And now to make this look a little bit more glam, I'm taking some loose glitter confetti that I got at the craft store, and I just cut it up into pieces, and I'm just taking some lash glue and dotting it on the outer half of my eye and then applying the little confetti pieces. Now going back to that Wet n Wild white eyeliner, I'm just adding some little dots in between the confetti pieces just to add a little bit of dimension and contrast. And then finally I'm taking this Revlon Photoready Eye Art, and I'm taking the glitter end of this and applying it in between the confetti pieces just to blend them out a little bit better and to just make it more sparkly and more glam, because you know me, you can never have too much glam. Now finally moving on to lips, I am lining my lips with the Huda Beauty lip contour in the color Trendsetter. Then for my lipstick, I'm wearing Maybelline's Daringly Nude, and this is from their Mattes collection. Then to finish it off, I'm just taking this shade from the Urban Decay Moondust palette, and I'm just applying it to the centers of my lips and also on my Cupid's bow to help the lip look a little bit more full and also to make everything look more metallic. And that is the completed look. On this look here, I definitely decided to go for a more bold look. You guys can obviously, tone it down a little bit if you want. I obviously like my looks to be more intense, more experimental, because I really appreciate the artistry of makeup, and I always want everything to be creative on my channel. I always try to push myself to do, different looks that may not be as wearable, but who cares? You can, if you want to wear this out, go ahead. You can go to Target in this look. I mean, who cares? So, thank you guys for watching. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. I know you guys hear YouTubers say this all the time, but it really does help us out when you guys subscribe. So please don't forget to click the button down below. It only takes 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds actually, like half second. So please be sure to do that, and I'll see you guys in my next video.